Hello there, it's Satellite transmitting to your screens. Today I'm reviewing a game that was actually suggested by one of my subscribers a few weeks back, and that game is Mashinky by Jan Zeleny. So let's take a gander. Mashinky is a transport logistics strategy game revolving around mostly trains, however there are cars and trucks to use too. The aim of the game is to build a successful train company, transporting goods and passengers from one place to another whilst going through different eras of technology. You start the game with a budget of 2,000 coins by default that you can use to place your initial track down with, buy your first trains and carriages, and start your first service that is hopefully a profitable one. The early game revolves around deciding about what to buy first with your limited resources and completing occasional quests that pop up, like an early quest that pops up telling you to deliver a certain amount of wood in a time frame. I enjoyed the quests at first, but I felt later in the game the rewards weren't quite as good, very often giving me rewards that would not even cover the costs of completing the quest in the first place. My initial playstyle to any game like this is to continuously make new saves in the first few hours of play. With every new save I create, I utilise what I learnt from the previous ones, and eventually I had grasped enough of the game to create a long-term save. The game has lots of settings to choose from on starting a new save, and one thing the game does is if you don't pay for it with specific resources beforehand, it automatically enters you into a new era of technology depending on what year it is in game, which throws all sorts of new curveballs at you. So I changed this to make it so I wasn't forced into a new era of technology and I could just pay the correct resources to enter into a new era. This allowed me to take more time getting to grips with the system, though it did mean I still had steam trains running in the year 2020. There were some elements of the game that weren't immediately obvious, and in honesty I didn't feel like the tutorial gave very much direction. Though in its defense, the fact that I got so far without it shows how intuitive the game actually is. I had some trouble with figuring out the terrain editor at the start, and I'd end up spending my entire budget on trying to get my track to go down a hill. But when I figured out it works by selecting individual vertices, it instantly became very easy and fun. You can also build tunnels and bridges if you need to get your train over a large mountain or lake. The late game quickly turns into a mind-boggling puzzle where the game gets very interesting and very confusing when you've got lots of trains on the map doing different things. You really have to watch that your resources are going up all of the time, because one extra train on the map that is taking more resources in running costs than it is outputting could result in all of your resources slipping away. I particularly had trouble in the diesel era when I completely ran out of oil for fuel and all of my diesel trains ground to a snail's pace. I had to recommission some of the older steam engines to kickstart my oil industry again. Mashinky does come with mod support with the Steam Workshop and allows you to download custom maps, trains and other assets. Not only that, but there is also a world editor in which you can import height maps from anywhere on the planet to recreate places in game. I found using the preset maps that came with the default game to be much more fun than the randomly generated maps, as it felt much more realistic and added more of a challenge to the game. My favourite map was the Two Bridges one, in which I had to create strong links across the map, and I found trying to create many series of one-way leaps to be the most efficient way to run the line. Graphically, I think the game is very nice overall and puts me in mind of the settlement game Banished. The only time when the graphics don't hold up is when you jump down to the cab view and you see the extremely low-res textures of the trains close up. This is okay for now because driving in the cab is not a requirement and you can't directly control the trains, though this is planned for the future, so I hope that when the direct control feature is added, we will also get reworked cabs as well. Optimization wise, the game runs very well on my system, with drops in frames only when zooming out all of the way on the larger maps, and the game only crashed once in the roughly 30 hours I played it, and that wasn't a problem either because of the very fast rate at which the game autosaves, which don't even so much as make the game stutter for me. So, is the game worth it? Well, the price is just shy of £19, €23 and $25, so I'd say yes actually. Based on what I've seen, I strongly believe that the developer will finish the game to the ambitions of the roadmap, that by the way is nicely laid out and clear, which is something I always commend a game on having. Looking at the roadmap, which plans to hopefully add a new futuristic era, visualised passengers and airports among other features, I'd say it's not too far off being feature complete. Plus, the game is already very fun and I really enjoyed it even in its current state. 30 hours in, I feel like I've barely even scratched the surface of the game and I could go a lot deeper, playing with different eras, creating many different railways, focusing on different industries and using custom content. To conclude then, I think Mashinky is a brilliant little gem of a game that will actually be considered a timeless classic in years to come. There is enough gameplay to keep you occupied for hours, and if you enjoy a solid puzzle that will fry your brain with how mad and complicated things can get, then you'll certainly enjoy Mashinky. For me personally, I'm not that much into strategy games generally, but I really enjoyed this one and will be watching the progress of the game closely from this point going forward. That about wraps up the video for today then. If you'd like to join me where I'll be coming back into orbit of this game, or for my new reviews of other games in the weeks to pass, then please do subscribe to tune your receivers into the next satellite broadcast. Bye bye.